Welcome to the One More Thing podcast. I'm Dr. Troy Doucet, joined today with Dr. Larry Baucom.
Good morning.
So we're in week 5 of practical prescriptions, and this is 3.0. So this is the third year you've done this.
Right.
And it seems the heart behind it is you want to give these practical applications for life for people. And what I love about it is that we sort of, not completely, but we sort of unhitch it from a lot of like deep theology we do and reconstructive theology for people here. But I want to touch on some things you said that I found were like absolutely profound. I went home and talked to Esther about it. It was Mother's Day. She was FaceTiming and stuff. And I don't think, you and I are academics, and I don't think people understand how difficult it is to get a PhD. Like, it is an absolutely rigorous thing. And one of the things you said, that when you said it, it immediately brought back all of these dreadful memories of being in academia. And you said, trying to do too much at one time is a sure recipe for mediocrity. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I launched it in my doctoral program, I said, I'm going to take as many classes as I can. And I regretted it immediately. I tried to do, I think it was 9 hours of doctoral level coursework. And I got feedback from my professors that this is not doctoral level writing. And it wasn't, I didn't have the capacity to do it. It's just I was spread so thin. So when you said that, like, how does that translate into like our spiritual life? How can we try to do too much in our spiritual walk where that it becomes a mediocre sort of spiritual life?
Yeah, and the quote, I say it a lot, so too much, too soon is the perfect formula for mediocrity. And we have this tendency to where we want it all now, and we want it all now versus the strategy of the ant to take it step by step. We want it all now. What we have is a very mediocre performance. Mm-hmm. And I do think, when you're talking about that doctoral stuff, and we talk about it plenty, but I did 30 hours in 1 year. I read 200 pages a day for a year. Mm. I lost short-term memory. And let me tell you, too much, too soon is a perfect formula for mediocrity. You want to perform with high levels of excellence. Take one bite at a time and process it and digest it. And the old proverb, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. But the problem is we weren't eating elephants one bite at a time. We were never stopping eating, always having indigestion. Yep. It was not our best selves. And I understand that. But in the spiritual journey, some people, they want to say, well, I want to begin today and I want to find my maturity. As a pastor, I longed. Seriously, I was a pastor at 25 years old. I could have come out of college and been a pastor at 21. Mm-hmm. I went 4 more years of seminary because I needed a little more age. Even at 25 years old, I was just a puppy. Mm-hmm. And I longed for a little gray hair right here. Yeah. And now I long for a little dark hair up here. And you'd say, I just long for hair.
That's right.
Whatever.
That's right.
But but I think too much. If we get it too quickly, if you come out of school or you finish, and all of a sudden, when you put it back in academia, you get your PhD and you're done, and you say, "Oh, I've arrived," and you and I both know this rigorous training just simply helps you become a student for life. Mm-hmm. It leads to more reading and more research, but now you know how to do the research because you've been trained in that area. But I think that none of us have arrived. I'm 66 years old, and I have more wisdom than I did, but I've still got more wisdom to learn. Mm-hmm. And I just try every day to step by step do what I need to do. Yeah. And there's some days at this age, and this wisdom, this maturity, I'm drinking from a fire hose.
Yep.
And that's when I revert back to the stupid. I'm addicted to stupid.
That's right.
Why would you put yourself in this? And we do. And it's not just me. I think it's most of us. We find ourselves in a circumstance. Why did I make these choices? Mm-hmm. Why did I do this? Couldn't I have done this better? And the answer is yes. Yes. But we learn from our mistakes, and we vow to do better. But too much, too soon. It's like having kids. You're a young couple and you want to have kids. Well, then the first day, you find out you're pregnant. Are you prepared to be the parents of a 16-year-old kid? The answer is no way. No, but through 9 months of pregnancy, you step by step, you're ready for the birth of the baby.
Right.
And then the baby, I tell people the first 3 months is a lot of work. Second 3 months, not as bad, but still a lot of work. Third 3 months gets much better. But it's this progression. And finally, when you become the parent of a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old, then it gets there.
That's
but
right.
you grow it one step at a time.
Yeah.
And so life is about that overall. So these practical prescriptions, I think, are simply simple life lessons to help you every day.
Yeah.
If you practice these, it'll help you. And is it going to make your life utopia? No. But it might help lessen stress here, lessen stress there to make you a more productive human being.
Yeah, that's well said. You know, when, again, going back to when you said that, it reminded me of how applicable that is just to everyday life. Doing things like the ant, one step at a time, because I, as a person, I'm easily overwhelmed at times. When you have so much going on, it just overwhelms you and you can't really focus on one thing. And I've seen it in church life. I mean, I've been a pastor, a little over 20 years now, and I've seen people come in with this like fire of God, and they want everything at one time. They want all these spiritual gifts, and they want to be able to read the Bible in a month or whatever. And what I found, and I'm sure you have, is like they burn themselves out.
Right.
And mediocrity is the first step toward just absolute absence of any sort of spiritual life whatsoever. And it's what we don't teach here at Suncoast. We want to keep a pace of spiritual formation and discipline for people that is based in a reality that they can actually live this out. And that's what's so amazing to watch.
Yeah, and the cliche destination versus the journey.
Yeah.
Some places, well, you need to be here. This is your destination. You need to not have those. If you have the attitudes, if the Spirit of Christ lives in you, you shouldn't be responding like that. You shouldn't be angry. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't be depressed.
Yep.
And those things are not necessarily good teaching, because the journey. Every day there's an experience. Every day there's a little growth to be had. And sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back on the journey. But we grow. It's nice to say, this line that, and it's really not like this. It kind of goes.
That's right.
Up and down. But for some people it goes and never goes up.
Yeah.
It just stays there and sometimes deteriorates. And that's not a healthy place to be. So that's our goal.
You had used the quote that Paul wrote about, we press towards the mark, right? Which is the prize that is in Christ Jesus. So what does that mean for us at Suncoast? As we practice these daily prescriptions that we're giving out, as we do like the ant, 1 step at a time, like for you as our pastor, like what is the ultimate goal for you to see in a person's life as they live these steps out? Like, we never really fully arrive, but what would you say in your estimation is like a healthy believer, a healthy follower of Jesus? Like, what does that look like to you?
Well, I think that the term more, it's not that, but I become more. Not that I want more, I do, but I become more Christ-like. I become more Christ-like in my attitudes, in my dispositions, and many things. I become more like Christ.
Yeah, it's another thing you had mentioned was this idea of the things we do to become like Christ are not for us to sort of hoard. And being in academia, not to bring it up again, but you don't go get a PhD just so you have all this knowledge. You get that so you give it away, so that you can educate, train, teach others. And you mentioned that in passing. We don't talk a lot about giving and serving at Suncoast like many other churches. We don't pass a plate here. But you did mention that the resources we have should be not just all for us.
Right.
And that is your heart, because you live that out daily around here in how you treat your staff and pouring into the staff and doing things. Like, why is that like an important thing for people to give resource away, to give their talents, their time, their treasure? Like, how is that part of a modeling of spiritual discipline?
Well, I think it's the Spirit of Christ in us. I mean, I love the prayer, bless me that I may bless others.
Yeah.
And it's not to say bless me this so that I can be really feel good about being blessed.
That's right.
Or, I'm just have all the toys. No, it's God used me. This whole concept of the Spirit of Christ in us is lived out. And I think that's practical Christianity again. It's not about what you believe. It's how do you live your life. It's not about all these theological gems that you have or the doctrinal statements. And I have people ask me frequently about different things. And I go, we're really about practical Christianity. We're about show me, as James says. Your faith without works is dead. Show me what you're doing. And from that, I will tell you what you love. And if you're spending all your money on yourself, you're loving yourself.
Yeah.
If you're spending your money on others as well, it's not that you can't take care of yourself, but you gotta share your resources. What's really sad for me is when someone comes to me and says, I got a new boat, I got a new car, I got a new toys, I got all the new stuff that I have. And a friend of mine, my family member, my brother, needs some help. And I can't help him. Can the church help him? I go, well, the first place is to the family.
Yeah.
So can you help your brother? No, why not? Because I've spent all my money on me. So there's no margin in their life. And trust me, I don't have any trouble with anybody in a boat or a car, anything like that. I think it's wonderful. But I do think that when you extend all your resources and no one else is served, it's a day to step back and realign your priorities and realize, is this really what I want to be? Is this really who I want to be like? And am I really taking that one step every day to where my heart is becoming more godly, or my life is becoming more like the Spirit of Jesus lived? And I think it's an aspiration and something we should all do, is just strive to be more like Christ.
Yeah.
And by that, we give away some stuff.
And I know you, being pastor as long, you've seen the transformation that happens when people become more generous.
Yeah.
Like what happens in a person's heart and soul when they make that move from very skeptical or suspicious about giving to an organization like ours, and then they do it and they see the impact?
One of the things I've noticed throughout my life is that people sometimes will give to get. I want God, I'll give you this if you give me this. Mm-hmm. So we get this barter relationship with God. I will do this if you do that. Or God, but when you give things or you get things and you give them away, when your heart is so full that I'm not into just receiving, I'm into giving. Those who've discovered the gift of giving, it seems like their jar of oil is always full of oil. So the people who are the most generous have the most generous things happen to them. Well, this guy's really generous. I'm going to buy him a meal. I'll buy him a car. Yeah. I'll buy him a trip. And all of a sudden, all these great things happen to these people who are benevolent. So the error mindset is, well, I'm going to do this, so this will happen to me. That's backward. You give it as if you're never going to get anything back from it. And because that becomes your heart, be ready. Because I think that as long as you're giving away, there's going to be provision that finds its way into your life so that you can continue to do what you need to do.
That's amazing. And the last piece was the ending story, which was the culmination of the point, is that we're never truly buried in anything. We have to shake it off and step higher. That was a brilliant story. And how is that relatable to your life as a pastor? Because I think people look at us and they think, oh, we have like the anointing of God, the protection of God, but we get talked about, we get stuff thrown on us as well. So what's something you could share with us where you had to? Is there anything?
Well, first of all, most clergy I know are donkeys.
That's
There's another word for that. But I mean, we find ourselves in a circumstance. And we can either just scream and whine that I'm the victim, or we can shake it off and go, I'm going to just find ways to step higher in my walk and my faith and my belief. I have many stories along those lines. From the beginning of Suncoast where, was it all easy? No. When we bought the land, was it easy? No. 2008, when the economy went into a tailspin and our interest rates doubled and our church payment increased $36,000 a month overnight when we had a fixed rate, supposedly. So you scream and cry about it. Was I like a donkey Harlem that day? You better believe it. I brayed as much as anybody could. This is unfair. This is unjust. This is not right. But at the end of the day, you have to go, okay, how do we get out of this? And we did. And we just shake it off, step higher. Shake it off, realize it's not about me.
Yeah.
Everything that we do here is about God.
That's it.
And we just need to keep that our priority.
Yeah, and I think we do an excellent job of it, and we have great leadership steering us in that direction.
Well, and here's the thing, and we can do better.
That's right.
Right? There's always more in that scholarly fashion, also this practical fashion. Live and love and repeat. Breathe in, breathe out, repeat. Give it away.
Yeah.
Look around you and find some more, give it away.
Yeah.
And I think in those moments, if God smiles, and I think he does, that's when he smiles.
That's awesome.
Because we're doing what he wants us to do.
Yeah. Let's keep doing it. Appreciate you, Dr. Baucom.
My pleasure. Thank you.